The 1990s were a very cyber time, and Denzel got in on that action with the sci-fi cop thriller Virtuosity. Starring Denzel and a very young Russell Crowe, this virtual reality action romp is about a disgraced former cop who's released from prison to track a deadly AI that's escaped into the real world. Set in a very different 1999 than the one we ended up with, this movie is goofy fun but pretty dumb. A semi-prescient tale of terrorists attacking New York, this is probably the most political film on this list. The Siege was released in 1998 and follows Denzel's FBI agent as he ends up at dual odds. He is trying to track and stop a terror cell that has infiltrated New York's population, while combating Bruce Willis's rogue general as he declares martial law on the city. While the movie itself drags after the first act, Denzel gives a great performance as a man caught between his government and what is right. Ryan Reynolds is a hot item when it comes to a two-hander, and Denzel got his time with the actor in 2012's Safe House. Reynolds plays an inexperienced CIA agent who is given the simple assignment of babysitting a dangerous fugitive in a safe house. However, things turn deadly when the house is attacked and the pair have to survive together. While Reynolds and Denzel are fun together, this is an ultimately forgettable action film that failed to capture what works best about either actor. No one quotes the Bible in a movie like Denzel, and the Book of Eli is filled with it. The 2010 post-apocalyptic western tells the story of the titular Eli, a mysterious drifter carrying a special cargo. When he rolls into a small settlement, he encounters the evil local boss, played by Gary Oldman. He wants what Eli has, and he's ready to bring hell down on the man to get it. While the movie features some great visuals and a few stellar machete fights, the plot ultimately falls flat. While not the only remake Denzel Washington has been in, it's definitely his worst. The Taking of Pelham 123 is the updated and action-heavier version of the classic 1974 heist film. While the original was far more humorous and subtle, the remake features a screaming goatee John Travolta. The movie is also the second to last film by iconic director Tony Scott, and is made in his distinctive and trend-setting style. Still, you're probably better off watching the original. The worst of the Equalizer trilogy, Equalizer 2 is still pretty good. Denzel's entry into the old man action genre, the sequel finds Robert McCall once again crossing swords with criminal elements and using his ingenuity to fight them. While not as engaging or satisfying as the first film, or even as exciting as the third, this entry offers more of what we like about the series. The Magnificent Seven has been remade a lot. Still, 2016's adaptation of the timeless western has a lot going for it. Not only is it a rare chance to see Denzel in a cowboy outfit, it also features an excellent supporting cast full of great actors. And Chris Pratt. The story of a small town besieged by outlaws, the residents band together to hire a group of 7 mercenaries to protect them. Denzel plays the leader of the group. However, he's also joined by Ethan Hawke's traumatized sharpshooter, Vincent D'Onofrio's mountain man, and even Martin Sensmeyer as a Comanche warrior. The movie has an exciting third act and strong supporting performances, and is overall a decent entry in the long history of Magnificent Seven remakes. Denzel and sci-fi mix well, Virtuosity notwithstanding, and 2006's Deja Vu is further proof of that. Washington plays ATF agent Douglas Carlin, who is investigating the explosion of a New Orleans ferry. Very quickly, he is led in on a secret government project that allows him to view past events as if he was there. Carlin quickly falls down a rabbit hole that involves causality loops and predestination. Deja Vu is a fun and creative action-adventure that features a really inventive car chase and a mostly satisfying ending. The first entry in the series, The Equalizer, was an adaptation of an old television show. However, the film mostly ditched the premise of that series for a story about a hardware store employee who hides a darker past. The film introduces us to Denzel's Robert McCall, a former Marine and intelligence officer who is now trying to live a peaceful life. However, he's called back into action when a young girl he is friends with is beaten severely by her pimp. This leads McCall on an escalating quest for revenge as he tears apart an entire cell of the Russian mob. The first action sequence is worth the price of admission alone. However, the movie's climax is also great in how it takes advantage of a full hardware store. time for a more successful Denzel two-hander, and that's 2013's Two Guns. Starring Denzel and Mark Wahlberg, this buddy cop film flew a little under the radar. However, it's genuinely fun and well filmed, and Wahlberg and Washington have genuine chemistry. Tony Scott and Denzel paired up for a second time in 2006, and the result was one of the decade's best action films. Man on Fire has Washington playing a disillusioned former CIA assassin who takes what is supposed to be an easy job. The job has him protecting the daughter of a wealthy industrialist. The pair quickly bond until PETA, played by Dakota Fanning, is kidnapped. The rest of the movie is dedicated to one of cinema's most glorious and satisfying rampages as Denzel bulldozes his way through the Mexican underworld. The third, and as yet final entry in Denzel's only film trilogy, The Equalizer 3 is an excellent conclusion to Robert McCall's story. For the third entry, the series made the best decision possible and moved production to the Italian countryside. This gives the movie a unique and beautiful look that helps it stand out from the crowd. The plot finds McCall near death after busting up a mafia money laundering ring. He ends up recovering in a small village where he grows attached to the people there. Of course, this being an Equalizer film means there are bad guys around the corner. The Equalizer 3 goes back to what works best about the premise, and adds to it with more satisfying action and a truly hateable villain. The movie that finally won Denzel his Oscar and gave the world the best hype quote of all time.
King Kong ain't got on me!
Training Day tells the story of a rookie police officer played by Ethan Hawke, who ends up spending a horrifying first shift with Denzel's very corrupt vice cop. Featuring stellar directing from Antoine Fuqua, a gritty script from David Ayer, and a fearless performance from Washington, Training Day took cinemas by storm. Even now, it's remembered as one of the heights of Denzel's career and a chilling narrative on police corruption. Ricochet is a 1991 action thriller and Denzel's first real entry into the genre. The movie is about Nick Stiles, played by Washington. He is a former police officer and now DA who finds himself the target of a man he put away years ago. John Lithgow once again gives an amazing villain performance as he targets and entraps Stiles in a deadly game of cat and mouse. Ricochet is sort of forgotten, but it features great visual flair from the director of Highlander, and it keeps the tension ramping up throughout the film. Unstoppable is the thrilling and stylish story of a runaway freight train and the pair of rail workers who have to stop it. Chris Pine joins Denzel in a movie that features some jaw-dropping stunts and edge-of-your-seat sequences. Based in part on a true story, Unstoppable was the final film from Tony Scott, who had a long career making some of the most influential action films of all time. Crimson Tide has Washington playing Ron Hunter, the XO, or second in command of a nuclear submarine named the USS Alabama. He finds himself at odds with his new captain when they receive conflicting orders about launching their atomic payload and effectively starting World War III. Crimson Tide features stellar performances from Washington, Gene Hackman, and even supporting roles from James Gandolfini, Viggo Mortensen, and even a young Steve Zahn.